Admiral Kethvar of the Hegemony 4th Fleet stood before the tactical display, his forearms crossed in satisfaction. The holographic projection showed the final human stronghold, Earth's Sol system, defended by what intelligence reported as a ragtag collection of outdated vessels. After 18 months of systematic conquest, the Terran Colonial Alliance had been reduced to this: one blue marble and its pitiful last stand. "Signal the fleet," Kethvar commanded, his translator converting his clicks and whistles into standard hegemony. "All ships advance. End this charade." The hegemony war machine was a sight to behold. 12 dreadnoughts, each stretching 3 kilometers from bow to stern, their quantum cannons capable of cracking moons. 48 cruiser-class vessels bristling with plasma batteries. 200 destroyers and corvettes, their sleek hulls designed for swift kills. Against them stood fewer than 60 human ships, most of them converted cargo haulers and obsolete military vessels from the old Earth-Mars conflicts. Commander Zeftai, Kethvar's tactical officer, studied the enemy formation with his keen analytical mind. "Admiral, the humans have positioned their vessels in a peculiar formation. Our battle computers suggest they're attempting some form of defensive war." Kethvar's mandibles clicked in amusement. How quaint. They still think in terms of ancient naval warfare. Show them what real space combat looks like. But as the hegemony fleet closed to optimal firing range, something unexpected happened. The human ships began to move, not retreating, but advancing in perfect coordination. What had appeared to be a desperate last stand transformed into something else entirely. "Admiral," Zeftai's voice carried a note of confusion. "They're not running." The lead human vessel, a battered heavy cruiser designated TCS Defiance, opened a communication channel. On the main screen appeared a weathered human face, Commander Sarah Chen, according to their intelligence files. Grey streaks marked her black hair, and a scar ran from her left temple to her jaw. But her eyes burned with something the Hegemony had learned to recognize in 18 months of conquest: human defiance. "Hegemony fleet," Ten's voice carried clearly across the void. "This is Commander Chen of the Terran Colonial Alliance. You've come a long way to die today." If you're enjoying this story of humanity's last stand, hit that subscribe button now, because what happens next will change everything you thought you knew about human warfare. Kethvar's mandibles clicked in what his species considered laughter. "Commander Chen, your bravado is admirable but pointless. Surrender now, and we will make your species' integration into the hegemony comfortable." "Counteroffer," Chen replied, her scarred face spitting into a grin that made Kethvar's combat hormones spike involuntarily. "You turn around and leave our system, and we'll let you tell your children how you escaped the day you almost fought humanity on our own ground." The communication cut. Kethan stared at the tactical display, genuinely puzzled. In 18 months of conquest, they had defeated the human fleets of Proxima Centauri, Alpha Centauri, and New Geneva. They had glass-bombed 3 human colonies and forced the surrender of a dozen more. The humans have shown courage, yes, but also sense. They knew when they were beaten. This was different. "Begin the attack," Kethan ordered. "Target their flagship first. Let's end Commander Chen's defiance quickly." The hegemony dreadnoughts opened fire, their quantum cannons lancing out in brilliant beams of coherent energy. The human ships scattered, but not in panic. They moved with precision, like a school of fish evading a predator. Each vessel's movement perfectly coordinated with the others. The Defiance rolled to port, the quantum beam missing by mere meters. But instead of continuing to evade, Chen's ship reversed thrust and charged directly at the nearest hegemony dreadnought, the HFS Inevitable Victory. "What are they doing?" Zeftai whispered. Then the humans revealed their first surprise. The Defiance wasn't alone. 6 smaller ships, barely destroyer class, had been hidden in its engine wash. As the flagship charged forward, these vessels spread out like a deadly flower, their weapon systems coming online. "Torpedo boats," Kethvar realized with growing alarm. They've converted cargo haulers into torpedo boats. The improvised warships unleashed a barrage of nuclear-tipped missiles, overwhelming the Inevitable Victory's point defense systems. The dreadnought's shields flared and collapsed under the concentrated assault. Explosions rippled across its hull as the torpedo boats closed for the kill. But the humans weren't done. As the hegemony fleet moved to support their flagship, more human vessels emerged from behind Earth's moon, Not just ships, but massive structures that had been mistaken for orbital platforms. "Those aren't space stations," Zeftai said, his voice rising in pitch. "They're ships, massive ships." The structures ignited their engines, revealing themselves as converted asteroid mining vessels, each one nearly as large as a Hegemony dreadnought, but built like flying fortresses. Their hulls bristled with weapons, not elegant energy weapons, but crude, effective projectile systems, but 5 streams of depleted uranium slugs. Admiral Kefar felt something his species had rarely experienced in their rise to galactic dominance: doubt. The battle became a nightmare of human ingenuity. The converted mining ships used their industrial-grade tractor beams, not for moving asteroids, but for grabbing Hegemony vessels and holding them steady, while other human ships pounded them with concentrated fire. Cargo haulers revealed hidden missile pods. Even civilian transports joined the fight, ramming damaged Hegemony ships with kamikaze determination. "Sir," Zeftai reported, his voice tight with disbelief, "we've lost 3 dreadnoughts and 12 cruisers. The humans, they're not just fighting us, they're outfighting us." But the greatest shock came when Commander Chen's voice cracked across all frequencies, not just to the Hegemony fleet, but broadcast to every human ship in the system. "All ships, this is Defiance Actual. Execute Protocol Thermopylae." Kefar had studied human history during the conquest. He knew that name, knew what it meant. The last stand of 300 Spartan warriors against impossible odds. But this wasn't a last stand. This was something else entirely. The human ships began to change formation again, but not retreating. They were advancing on all fronts, boxing in the Hegemony fleet from multiple directions. And now, from the outer system, new contacts come on the sensors. "Admiral," Zeftai's voice cracked, "I'm reading massive signatures from the asteroid belt, hundreds of them." The asteroids were moving under their own power, their surfaces bristling with improvised weapons and armor plating. The humans had turned their entire asteroid mining fleet into a mobile fortress network. If this incredible display of human military ingenuity has you on the edge of your seat, smash that like button, because the real surprise is still coming. "How?" Kefar demanded. "Our intelligence said they had 60 ships." Commander Chen's voice answered him as if she could hear his thoughts. "Admiral, you made the same mistake every conqueror makes when they face humanity. You assumed that because you beat us in open space, you understood us. You never stopped to ask what we've been doing while you were busy conquering our colonies." The truth hit Kefar like a quantum cannon blast. "You let us win. You sacrificed those colonies to buy time." "Every evacuation ship that fled our outer world carried 2 things," Chen confirmed: civilians and shipyard equipment. "For 18 months, we've been building, converting, and preparing. You've been fighting our expeditionary forces. Today, you meet the home fleet." The asteroid fortresses opened fire, their mass drivers hurling projectiles the size of shuttlecraft at relativistic speeds. The human mining ships used their deep-core drilling lasers as weapons, slicing through Hegemony armor like tissue paper. The converted cargo haulers revealed their true purpose. Each one carried enough nuclear warheads to sterilize a small moon. But it wasn't just the weapons that stunned Kefar, it was the coordination. Every human ship, from the massive mining vessels to the smallest patrol craft, moved as one organism. Their communications were encrypted beyond his best codebreaker's ability to crack, but the precision of their movements suggested something more than just good training. They're not using standard military tactics. That I observed, studying the tactical display with growing awe. Each ship group is operating independently, but they're supporting each other perfectly. It's like they can read each other's minds. Commander Chen's image appeared on their screen again, her battle-scarred face now illuminated by the fire of combat. "Admiral, you want to know our secret? It's not superior technology or ancient warrior culture. It's something your empire will never understand." "What?" Kefar found himself asking despite his pride. "We're not just fighting for territory or resources," Chen said, her ship executing another impossible maneuver to avoid incoming fire while her escorts tore apart a Hegemony cruiser. "We're fighting for each other. Every person on every ship knows that if they fall, their sacrifice means something, that their children, their partners, their friends will live free. Around her flagship, human vessels continued their deadly dance. A converted mining ship, its hull breached, and atmosphere venting, used its last moments to ram a Hegemony dreadnought, its crew's final act ensuring that ship could never threaten Earth. A group of cargo haulers, outgunned and outmaneuvered, formed a protective screen around a damaged human cruiser, sacrificing themselves to save their comrades. "You rule through fear," Chen continued, her voice carrying over the chaos of battle. "We fight through love. Guess which one makes better soldiers?" The tide of battle had turned completely. What began as the Hegemony's final victorious assault had become a rout. Human ships swarmed over the alien fleet like angry wasps, their improvised weapons and tactics overwhelming the Hegemony's technological superiority through sheer determination and clever engineering. But Kefvar had one final card to play. All ships fall back to minimum safe distance. Prepare planet cracker missiles. The remaining Hegemony vessels began to withdraw, but not in retreat, in preparation for genocide. If they couldn't conquer Earth, they would destroy it and deny humanity its victory. "Admiral," Chen's voice carried a warning tone, "I wouldn't do that if I were you. Your fleet is impressive, Commander, that you cannot stop a planet cracker barrage. Earth dies today, one way or another." Chen's smile returned, but this one was different. This one carried the weight of absolute confidence. "Admiral, you still don't understand. You're not fighting the home fleet. You're fighting inside it." The truth revealed itself in the most terrifying way possible. The space around the Hegemony fleet suddenly lit up with new contacts. Human ships that had been running silent, hidden by the background radiation of the battle. Ships that were now behind the Hegemony formation, between them and their escape route. More than that, the asteroid fortresses began to move, closing in from all directions. The humans hadn't just prepared a defense, they had prepared a trap. The entire Sol system was one vast killing field, and the Hegemony fleet was caught in its center. "You have two choices," Chen announced, her voice broadcasting to every ship in both fleets. "Surrender and join the growing alliance of free worlds that humanity is building, or try to run and discover why we call ourselves the guardians of this galaxy." Admiral Kefvar looked at his tactical display one final time. His fleet was surrounded, outgunned, and outmaneuvered by an enemy he had underestimated in every possible way. The humans hadn't just won this battle. They had demonstrated that everything the Hegemony thought it knew about warfare was wrong. "All ships," he commanded, his voice heavy with defeat and reluctant admiration, "stand down. Signal surrender." As the Hegemony fleet powered down its weapons, Commander Chen opened a final communication channel. "Admiral, your species joins our alliance not as conquered subjects, but as equals. That's another thing we humans do differently. We turn enemies into friends." 6 months later, Admiral Kefvar stood on the bridge of the TAS Unity, a joint human Hegemony vessel patrolling the borders of what was now called the Free Worlds Alliance. The ship's crew was mixed: humans, Hegemony, and 3 other species that had chosen cooperation over conquest. Commander Chen, now promoted to Admiral of the Alliance Fleet, appeared on his communication screen for their weekly briefing. "How are the new defensive platforms coming along?" she asked. The Hegemony engineering teams had integrated their shield technology with human armor design, Kefvar reported. "The result is impressive. Any invasion force will face a very unpleasant surprise." Chen nodded approvingly. "Good. The Dominion scouts have been probing our outer systems. They need to understand that this alliance isn't just about human stubbornness. It's about what all of us can accomplish when we work together." As the communication ended, Kefvar reflected on the lessons he had learned. The humans had shown him that true strength didn't come from superior technology or overwhelming force. It came from something much simpler and much more powerful: the willingness to fight not just for yourself, but for others. The Hegemony had built an empire through conquest, but humanity was building something better. A community of worlds united not by fear, but by choice. And that, Kefvar had learned, was worth fighting for. The bridge's human communications officer, Lieutenant Rodriguez, turned to face him. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission from the outer colonies. 3 more systems want to join the alliance." Kefvar's mandibles clicked in what he had learned humans called a smile. "Signal them our acceptance and prepare a welcome fleet. Let's show them what real strength looks like." Outside the bridge windows, the stars stretched endlessly in all directions. Somewhere out there, the next challenge awaited. But Kefar no longer feared it. After all, he learned the most important lesson in the galaxy. When you fight alongside humans, you don't just survive. You become something better than you ever thought possible. And in a universe full of threats and challenges, that transformation was the most powerful weapon of all.